कमल लाए क्या? स्टार्ट कर देता हूं मैं.
So Vishnu Mahesh, we can start.
Okay. Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Sir, 1 second, sir. I will start. Sir.
Oh, you will start. Okay.
Good morning to all the dignitaries, guests, and delegates. With great joy and immense pleasure, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all the participants for this 10th International Webinar Series. Today, the international webinar on for assuring and enhancing quality in Japan University of Accreditation Association and quality Japan. Speaker so direct Association Japan. About this program and welcome the August gathering and dignitaries on this web. Sir.
Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to one and all present here. Today's webinar is 10th International Webinar in the series. Today we have with us Dr. Akinori Matsuzaka, Mr. Associate Director, Research and Planning Division, Japan University Accreditation Association, JUAA, Tokyo, Japan. You know, the topic is today assuring and enhancing quality, Japan University Accreditation Association and QA scheme in Japan. We at National Assessment and Accreditation Council in India conduct series of webinars, series of international webinars, webinars nationally for the benefit of all higher education institutions. Our motto is quality education should prevail in all higher education institutions. It is all important that learning from each other is very important. We have learned a lot from international quality assurance agencies. The idea is strengthen the platform. Now we at NAAC conduct the assessment and accreditation. We are the largest higher education institutions in India. We have more than 50,000 colleges and universities in India. We go for assessment and accreditation. We go for institutional assessment and accreditation. It's very important to learn from each other. Now I request Professor S.C. Sharma, Director, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, India, for the opening remarks. Sir, please.
Dear Dr. Akinori Matsuzaka, Associate Director, Research and Planning Division, Japan University Accreditation Association, Tokyo, Japan, Chief Guest and main speaker for today's webinar for assuring and enhancing quality scheme in Japan. I am Director Professor S.C. Sharma. On behalf of NAAC family, I welcome you, and across the globe we have different people and with different time. Good morning, good afternoon and good night to all of you. In fact, NAAC is a member of INQUAHE APQN, that is Asia Pacific Quality Network. NAAC has completed 13,000, little more than 13,000 accreditations. And now during COVID, you have seen me wearing mask and shield, etc., because I'm sitting in the studio and talking to all of you in a closed atmosphere. Therefore, I'm taking all precaution. And NAAC has done a lot of best practices. I'm grateful to all my colleagues in NAAC, whereas we have used ICT completely, and NAAC has qualitative and quantitative student satisfaction survey, etc. I'm sure my colleagues will talk in the after my brief introduction. And finally, I should say NAAC has learnt a lot from international community on quality assurance agencies. Thank you once again. All the best. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful, enlightened opening remarks. And also, I thank Dr. Amya Kumar Rath, sir, for your wonderful introduction about the program and welcoming the August gathering. Now, my request, Dr. A.V. Prasad, Assistant Advisor NAAC, to introduce the today's eminent speaker, Dr. Akinori Masuzuka. A.V. Prasad, sir, please.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Prasad, you're audible.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning to one and all. It's my proud privilege to introduce today's speaker, Honorable Speaker Dr. Akinori Matsuzaka, sir, Associate Director, Research and Planning Division from Japan University Accreditation and Association, JUAA, Tokyo of Japan, who is going to enlighten us on the topic for assuring and enhancing quality JUAA and QA scheme in Japan. Dr. Akinori Matsuzaka, sir, completed his master's degree in political sciences from JUAA University, Tokyo, Japan. Later, he joined Japan University Accreditation Association in 2007. Since then, he worked for International Accreditation, Program Accreditation, JD Program, MBA Program, etc., and EQA related planning. Currently, as an Associate Director, he is engaged in EQA related planning, several webinars for evaluators, for QA staff of HAIs, and so on. He is also a research fellow of JUAA's affiliated research institution, the Research Institute for Quality Assurance of Higher Education. Thank you, sir. Over to Dr. Vishnu Mahesh, sir, please.
Thank you very much, Prasad, for your brief introduction about today's speaker. Now, the main program is beginning now. My request, today's young eminent speaker, Dr. Akinori Masuzuka, Associate Director of Research Planning Division, Japan University of Association, Accreditation Association, Tokyo, Japan. Sir, please speak on assuring and enhancing the quality assurance scheme in your Japan in this webinar. I request you, sir. Thank you. Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for so gracious introductions. I am Akinori Matsuzaka, working for Japan University Accreditation Association. We call it JUAA. Today, I'm talking from my office in Tokyo, and despite the geometrical distance between you and me, between India and Tokyo, I'm so glad to have so many participants today. I've heard that more than 700 participants have registered today, so I'm so happy to have a presentation for my friends in India and other Asian nations. So please allow me to start with my personal things. When I talk about my daily life, for example, on weekends, I often listen to the Indian music like traditional music like raga music and dhulpat. And I'm also interested in the Qawwali music of northern India. And the poem by the Rabindranath Tagore always filled my empty heart. On the weekend night or the weekday night, I usually open his book and I gain the energy for daily life from his poem. So I have a lot of respect to him. So in short, I love India, and I have a lot of respect to the Indian culture, the Indian nations, and the Indian people. So I'm so appreciating that the NAAC arranged me this opportunity to have a presentation on my work and the quality assurance scheme in Japan. And thank you so much. And I think it must be much greater if I could come to India and to have face-to-face session in India. But I hope the day will come soon when I come to the India without fear of any pandemic situation. So I can share my presentation. So today's my presentation is on the theme for assuring and enhancing quality, JUAA and quality assurance scheme in Japan. Today, I'm going to talk about this theme with 3 parts. The part 1, as the first topic, I will talk about my organization, JUAA, and its responsibility. In the following part, at part 2, I will go into further. I will go into the QA scheme in Japan further, especially focusing on the so-called certified evaluation and accreditation framework. And finally, some notes for the next steps will be mentioned. So then the first topic, JUAA and its responsibility. First, I introduce my organization, Japan University Accreditation Association, looking at organizational profile. Japan University Accreditation Association, we call shortly JUAA in Japan, is an independent organization. That means we do not have any tie with national government, for example, in its governance and human or financial resources. We are governed by the higher education institutions representatives, and our work is run by the fee, for example, the accreditation fee or the other kind of fee. And like as the NAAC in India, we are the member of course, the member of the INQAHE, INQAHE, and APQN in Japan, in Asia. So What should be noted here is, I think, is Japanese QA scheme is not steered by a single agency. And the government and the governmental agency does not take a central position in QA. So I'd like to point it out that we are independent and we do not have any national any fee from any financial resources from the national government, any aid or any funds. We do not get from the national government. So next slide shows our mission. Our mission is to promote the qualitative improvement of higher education institutions in Japan through the voluntary efforts and the mutual assistance of member institutions, and to contribute to the international cooperation such as education and research activities in higher education institutions. As you can understand from this slide, we pursue the qualitative enhancement of higher education and making the voluntary efforts, in other words, autonomous efforts, and mutual assistance among the higher education institutions as a basis. It's our mission. So when it comes down to the quality assurance and quality enhancement, more specifically, what do we understand and what do we do? I'll go more into this point. Basically, we understand that quality assurance and quality enhancement should work well in shared responsibility and under the principle of shared responsibility. Or more, I can say it might be possible to say external quality assurance, EQA, should take a so-called subsidiary position or supportive position, because higher education institution is independent and autonomous, and whose academic freedom must be highly secured. So in QA and QE, in terms of the quality assurance and quality enhancement, each university or college should take primary responsibilities, and the external quality assurance agency like JUAA should take a subsidiary position. It's our basic principle. And given this principle, shared responsibility as a basic principle, we see our role in two different ways. Namely, at the first, and we evaluating and accrediting is our main work. And other than that, supporting the higher education institutions and its internal quality assurance is our another key task. If we talk about our work categorizing into two, which I mentioned right now, what can I list up here? So first category, EQA through evaluation and accreditation. We do three different types of EQA. First of all, and what is most widely done is certified evaluation and accreditation. We are engaged in this evaluation and accreditations as one of the agencies under the national scheme. National scheme means we have a legal law set by the national parliament. And the details of the certified evaluation and accreditation will be covered in the next part. But other than that, we have several EQA, external quality assurance, for option. So actually, right now, the program level accreditation is only legally only mandated, only a part of the study, the field of the study. In other words, there is not just a scheme for covering, it's not the scheme covering all the type of the study program. So we JUAA provide the accreditation scheme in, for example, the veterinary education and dentistry education for option. And our work is not limited in the national territory. Our works goes beyond the national border. So concretely, we are doing at international level accreditation. We call this team IJAS. So we are engaged in this accreditation, collaborating with TWA Taiwan and UNESCO Thailand. And we jointly accredited the higher education institution in some institutions of 3 countries. Also, it is a framework among 3 different countries right now. It can be extended in future. It is open, not of course, to the other Asian EQA bodies. To the accredited institution or program, we issue the certificate on accreditation mark. You can find the mark on universities or colleges' website. The mark endorses the quality, so you can determine which university or college in Japan where your students should go on. You can take this account, and you can take this mark into account. And the mark is different between certified evaluation and IJAS case. So in certified evaluation accreditation case, we issue the mark shown on the right. In IJAS case, we show this kind of mark on the left-hand side. So, when in terms of the IJAS case, under IJAS framework, first accreditation was only done in 2019. And due to corona pandemic, we did not have any cases last year. So there are still quite a few accredited institutions, but applying institutions is expected to expand in the future. So the second category of our work, support for higher education institutions efforts. Supporting is also our main work, includes research, publishing, and offering several seminars or symposium. For example, we annually publish a journal which includes the articles by the researcher or the other kind of experts in quality assurance fields. And also, we issue the JUAA book series, and the latest volume of it is published. The latest volume was published in this April, in this March, titles on the educational management and effective internal quality assurance. We expect this publishing help the university managers and EQA officers or the other kind of stakeholder to know more about quality assurance or quality enhancement, or stimulate the further discussing among the stakeholders. And other than publishing and research or the training seminars, we also accept internal quality assurance staff from higher education institutions. So as you can understand, the range of our work is a little wide, but what you have to know here is that we have not started this kind of work not in recent years. While I suppose while the quality assurance or quality enhancement is a trend after 1919 in most countries of the world, and even in Japan, but JUAA has been engaged in this field since 1940s. We are established in the 1947. It was soon after the end of World War II. And I understand it was when there are so few quality assurance bodies which are accredited and evaluation, which are engaged in evaluation. So I can say our organization, JUAA, is JUAA is the oldest organization in Asian territory. So we understand ourselves as a pioneer in this field. So we go on to the next part. And the part 2, the quality assurance scheme in Japan, and what's certified evaluation and accreditation. So I have talked about our organizations now, and so having the role and the responsibilities of Japan University Accreditation in mind, we're going into this point. So I'd like to start this topic with overviewing total QA scheme in Japan. So as you can see on this slide, there are several Q quality assurance according to the stage. The upper side of the slide shows what higher education have to do. And what what's shown on the lower side shows that what should be done by the external quality assurance agency or the government. So when anyone wants to establish a new institutions or start a new academic department with a new degree program, he or she must make a master plan, which includes institutional or program descriptions or the governance of financial resources, and submit this master plan to the ministry. And if the ministry gets from the university this master plan, the independent expert committee of the ministry will check to approve it. So, and even after gaining the approval, higher education institutions must report during a certain year how the plan is put in place actually, and have it checked by the government. So these are the traditional quality assurance, but in recent years, like the other countries, the governmental check have become relatively light, and QA shift today more to internal quality assurance and afterward external quality assurance. And certified evaluation and accreditation is one of them, and it is only a national mandatory scheme covering all the types of institutions. So I will focus on the certified evaluation and accreditation more specifically. So now let us more closely look at certified evaluation and accreditation. A certified evaluation and accreditation is a national mandatory quality assurance scheme. It has legal ground in the School Education Act of Japan. So when I talk about the type of the certified evaluation accreditation, there are two different ones. So that is the institutional one and the program one. So I think in country where the national register system is working, to be accredited is sometimes a precondition for register, but it is not the case in Japan. In Japan, we do not have any register system, or does not require higher education institutions as a precondition of establishment. So certified evaluation and accreditation to be accredited is only done for ex post evaluation. Afterwards, quality assurance check. I think it is quite different point from the other many countries. So I mentioned that JUAA is one of the certified evaluation and accreditation agencies. So in other words, there are several agencies, and it is not done under one single agency. For example, institutional level, I mean here the institutional level evaluation accreditation for university, 4-year or 6-year university, which confers a bachelor degree or master degrees or doctoral degrees. There are 5 different agencies, including JUAA. So each agency is allowed to have its own standards and criteria to evaluate and accredit it. And also it is possible to design the procedures or the format of the evaluation results. It is possible. So the standards we apply in JUAA case will be mentioned in later. But why we call this scheme certified evaluation and accreditations? I suppose you have a question on this point. So I explain it additionally. Certifies means here the minister's permission for quality assurance operations. In this scheme, the minister certifies the accrediting agencies, and only certified agency is allowed to evaluate and accredit the higher education institutions or the program. So we call this scheme as certified evaluation and accreditation. So as I mentioned, standards and the criteria is allowed to establish by each agency, but the standards and criteria must be aligned with the basic legal framework. So I'd like to speak on certified evaluation and accreditation for further with closing up the JUAA case. In JUAA case, we are doing 2 types of institutional levels and 9 areas of program levels. Institutional level means here the institutional evaluation and accreditation for university and college and junior college. Junior college means here it is a type of higher education institution in Japan. I think it is like a community college in other countries. It offers a 2 years or 3 years degree program and conferring associate degree. At program level, we engage in 9 different areas. For example, the JE program, and it is the program for law professionals, and MBA program, and so on. So and in following slides, I will talk about process standards applied in certified evaluation for university more closely. When I talk about procedures applied in the university accreditations, first I like to show you an evaluation process. It starts from self-study by higher education institutions, and it ends with deciding accreditation result. It goes through the document analysis and the site visit and opinion statement by the higher education institutions to the draft accreditation results. And I suppose the process might be same or similar to the one by you. In our case, it takes almost a year, 1 year, from the document analysis to the deciding accreditation results. And what should be noted here is even after accrediting, we check and support higher education institutions continuously. We check the improvement efforts by the institutions and feed it back. Each accredited institution is asked to submit progress report within 4 years after accreditation, and we check it and check and feed it back. I think it is a feature of our process. Next, I will introduce you our standards applying accreditation in university level. The standards we apply in certified evaluation accreditations for university, we call university standards. It consists of it consists of 10 different standards, including mission and purpose, standard 1, mission and purpose, standard 2, internal quality assurance, and standard 3, educational and research structure, and next, educational program and outcomes, and student enrollment, and standard 6, faculty and faculty organization, and standard 7 is on the student support, and 8 is for the education and research environment. And other than that, we include the social cooperation and contributions by the university. And finally, we include university management and finance. So actually, I'd like to show you all the contents of our university standards, but today, I do not have enough time to do it, so in the next slide, I will only close up to the standard 2, describing the what we understand as internal quality assurance and what we ask the university to do or to be. So basically, we understand internal quality assurance as shown here on the upside of this slide. Namely, it must be consistent and continual one. And since the internal quality assurance must be done for institutional program, we call so-called PDCA cycle or the like must be worked appropriately. On the other hand, assure means that making the activities and those outcomes transparent, I think. So we understand each institutions also must be accountable to the stakeholders or the other kind of social partner. And laying this basic understanding as a basics, we ask each university or college what described below. namely each higher education institutions are asked to define on quality policy and have responsible central body and leadership, or coherently work at central and decentral levels, or do a periodic review and improvement in trustworthy manner, or manage from program design to review and improvement, or to be accountable. But what I have to say here is that JUAA does not prescribe the details for what to do. We do not have any detailed criteria or rule which is put in place in evaluation. A higher education institution in Japan is, as I mentioned before, have the autonomous positions, and its academic freedom is highly secured, must be highly secured. So we propose this standards as a only basic framework. So the details of its contents should be determined by each institutions. So it's our evaluation and accreditation work in a total picture. So let me close my presentations with some notes for the next steps in quality assurance. For the next step in quality assurance, there are some points I could and should note here. First, higher education institutions. They must be, I think, more accountable, and IQA efforts, internal quality assurance efforts, must become more trustworthy ones. Because these days there has been expanding more free room for university or college in Japan to, for example, to design each academic program, including judging the qualification of academic staff. And also, with expanding online education, concerns with assuring quality has become a hot issue again. For example, in online education, for example, giving support and feedback become more crucial for successing learning compared to the traditional learning style or learning delivery style. Or assessing and understanding the students' learning and its outcome requires us even different new approach. So each higher education institutions have to deal with these new quality assurance issues and must be more accountable. And for external quality assurance side, there are also the issues to be addressed. Given the issues related to the internal quality assurance, which I mentioned right now, I can say we will be more expect to check the internal quality assurance efforts by university appropriately. Yes, rethinking our current QA approach is needed, and for this reason, research on online education and its quality assurance is our ongoing project. Information exchange with overseas bodies like NAAC and other organization in our regions, or the communications among in the frame of under the framework of the APQA or INQAH can give us invaluable insights. So we highly appreciate it if you give me some suggestions or opinion on this point. And but on the other side, on the other hand, there is of course the support for university must be also the crucial. And there are another topic for us. It is namely there's always a pressure to reduce the burden. I suppose it is also the case in India. We hear some voices asking for it among higher education community in Japan, and we know we have to take into our consideration, but balancing the effectiveness and efficiency against fulfilling the responsibility is not easily answered. So it is not an easy question to be resolved. So thank you for your attentions. Very धन्यवाद and धन्यवाद गारू ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Yeah, I would like to request the participants to ask any questions in case you have any queries. Yeah, I will request the participants to ask for any questions if you have any. Dr. Mohindako.
Yes, thank you, Samuel. Dr. Akinori, I appreciate your precise presentation, but I have 2 to 3 points to clear. One is regarding independent organization. You have said that there's no government interference and you don't get any financial help from them. And my question is that from where you get the financial help, although I appreciate this independent nature of the organization. This is my first point. And another point is where you were talking about certified evaluation. There you have said that there is a certification from the Honorable Minister. And I want to ask that what is the basis of certification by the minister? What is the basis based upon which the certification is given? And rest of the parts, some of the parts are similar to our system of NAAC, especially your internal quality assurance part. And I also and Rabindranath Tagore is my favorite also. So these are the points I want to ask from you while appreciating your presentation, sir.
Thank you for questions. Sorry, but due to the, I'm afraid due to the technical program or networking program, I could not hear the third questions. So could you say it more again?
The first question was regarding the independent nature of the organization. I appreciate that. And you have said that there is no government interference, and also you are not getting financial assistance from the government. Then from where the finances come for the organization? And the next point was regarding the certified evaluation, where you have started the certified evaluation. there you have discussed that there is this is certified, the institution is first of all certified by the ministry, by the minister. So I am asking, what is the basis of certification by the minister? This is what I want to ask.
Thank you, Madam. So the first question, in terms of the financial basis of our organizations, mainly the fee from the member institutions, because while we are the accrediting bodies and evaluating bodies, and as a third-party bodies from the universities, we also have member institutions, and we have more than 300 member institutions in Japan. So each institutions must give the finance, the money for us, and our financial resources based on the membership fee. And the second point, I understand it is related to the minister's certifications for our EQA bodies. So it is quite difficult to answer, but basically the minister have a framework which includes what we have to evaluate and accredit. For example, in case of institutional level, we have to evaluate each university's or each college's missions and quality assurance efforts and financial resources and faculty members, faculty organizations, and educational programs quality. But it is only a basic framework, so we can design the details as our own mission and purposes. So
Samuel, go ahead with the next question. Samuel.
Yeah, Gulshan Bansal, you may ask your question.
Very good afternoon, Dr. Akinori and all officials from NAAC. It was a nice insight into the working of JUAA, and more or less it is similar to the NAAC. I have just one query. You said that you have certain optional programs where the institute can go for the accreditation by JUAA. So what is the criteria for selecting those, making certain programs optional? Why not all programs are made mandatory for accreditation process?
Oh, thank you for the question. But it is quite difficult to answer. Simply because it is because I think it is simply because that there is not any law or rule implementing higher education institutions. School Education Act of Japan is designed to evaluate and accredit only a professional degree. Professional degrees means any program leading to the vocational program or as a kind of the profession like law professionals like lawyers and as a kind of MBA. the business person in MBA, the business field, on the certified accountant field. So the another reason I think I can say it's because Japanese quality assurance scheme is highly based on the autonomy and plurality. So I think in other country where the national government take a leading position in this field, there is a one single agency, and it evaluate and it can evaluate and accredit all the program, but it is not the case. As I mentioned in my presentation, we are based on the plurality in the actors. So it is very hard to evaluate and accredit all the fields of the study, because I think there's so many fields in Japan according to the name of the degree. So it is quite difficult to cover all the fields of the study. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Akinori.
Yeah. I'll request Sohan Lal to ask a question. Sohan Lal.
Thank you.
Be a little louder, sir. It's not audible.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Akinori. My question is to you that how to synchronize domestic educational institutions so that they can get familiar with such international educational programs. I hope you will get my question.
Thank you for question. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure I understand clearly the point of your question. So, could it be more specific? Could it be more elaborate on the point?
Yeah, please. My purpose behind this question is simple, because you are giving a very valuable information, which is the dire need of every higher education institution. So how we can make them educate so that they can also get participate in such programs which are organized by bodies. Like at the moment you have shared your presentations, I have been seeing that so much valuable and very crucial information is being shared by you. But unfortunately, after being the representation by NAAC and the professors, maximum of the institutions, especially higher education institutions, would not be get direct benefit by your presentation. So that was my question, how we can synchronize, and there should be any particular independent need so that they feel we should also learn education systems implemented worldwide.
So, thank you so much.
Please.
I understand your question is on the synchronizing a quality issues of the domestic area and with international one.
Yes.
Yes. In terms of international transparency and international currency, so it is quite difficult to answer, but we we understand our task is to develop our standards and criteria in viewing the international trends or is aligned with international standards. So, so sometimes, for example, sometimes we engaged, we are implementing the international level survey, and other than that, we always exchanging the information among international communities. So in this point, I'd like to know more about the Indian situation. So I have to enhance the tie with NAAC in India, and like this. For the enhancing or for the securing the international transparency of quality assurance, or enhancing the international transparency or international understanding, we pursue the we pursue to establish brushing our standards or the evaluation method in aligned with international trends. It is only one example. Thank you.
Now I would like to request our own Dr. Jagannath Patel to ask his question.
Thank you, Samuel, and thank you and congratulations to Professor Rath, Dr. Ponmudi Raj, and the entire team under the guidance of Professor Sharma ji for continuing this international series of webinars. Konnichiwa, Dr. Akinori-san. Konnichiwa. Hope you are doing well in this pandemic situation. As you know, I spent last year with NAAC-QE, your counterpart, working with some research programs in Japan. So I am little bit familiar with the functioning of the CEA and the quality assurance system in Japan. But for the benefit of the all the audience that they are asking the questions and the international community, a few clarifications to enlighten us. As you mentioned it clearly, in Japan, the quality assurance is not a monopoly or a task of single agency. There are about 12 agencies, certified accreditation agencies working for accreditation, and JUAA is one of the major player, with majority of the accreditation of university level is conducted by JUAA, and NAAC-QE is also another major accreditor. My question, because now India is, as per the new education policy, poised for multiple accreditation agency regime. So far we had only 2 agencies like NAAC and NBA, but now as per the new policy there will be many agencies. The question is, how do you manage the competition, number one, and how do you manage the conflicts? Competition in a way that any universities are free to go to any accreditation agency of their choice, as I understand. So in such situation, how do agencies ensure that there is no unhealthy competition, there is no soliciting, bargaining, or that kind of thing? Given the Japanese culture, I am sure such things will never be there in presence. But how do you generally manage the competition within the agencies to get universities to you, particularly because you are self-funded, you survive solely on your own fees, and there are agencies like NAAC which get mixed grants. So that is, how do you manage the competition? Another option is question is, how do you manage the conflicts? Because yours is a association of the universities where universities are members. So in such a situation, when your body is accrediting universities which are your members, how do you ensure that conflicts, to make sure that there are no questions asked about the integrity of the process? I am taking too much time, but just a last question. How are you handling the situation in pandemic? I am aware that situation is not as serious as in India, but still there is continued state of emergency in Tokyo, in Osaka, in many other prefectures. So in such situation, how are you handling your quality assurance processes, particularly the visits and other aspects? So thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, Dr. Patil. So your final question, I answer first. So yeah, as you know, the pandemic, COVID pandemic is also a dangerous situation in Japan, and so last year we could not do a site visit as in traditional manner, and I suppose this year we cannot do it. So last year we do it in online basis online basis site visit. With other words, we do the meeting through the Zoom or the WebEx. And in this new approach, we assure the quality of quality assurance by referring the evidence materials more closely, or asking the higher education institutions to report what is done under the pandemic situations compared to the traditional style of education. So we focus, in other words, we focus on any measures for dealing with the pandemic situation done by universities, and we check more closely on it. So we assure our the quality of quality assurance. So the other question, conflict of computations. So I think so. Yes, we as JUAA is one of the association established by the universities, but we have the independent evaluation committees, and if the higher education institutions if higher education institutions appeals against our results of accreditations, we judge its appeal by the other independent independent committee. So in this way, we assure the independence and third-party SIP in these accreditations. So it's quite difficult, but it is my answer. Thank you so much.
Arigato gozaimasu. You missed the question about the competition, I think.
Competition, yes, competition, yes.
Between the agencies, because there are many players.
Competition, yes. So in terms of competitions, so as
I know part of the answer I heard from my colleague Professor Rie Mori, who says you have happily adjusted to the set of institutions or universities without any competition. Is it the answer, or there are indeed any competitions?
Yes, actually, the competitions is not so. There is not so much
problem
competition, but we understand each institution, each quality assurance agency have to develop the more appropriate standards, and appropriate standard developing appropriate standards gives you good options for the universities. So university can select the most appropriate, the higher education quality assurance agencies whose standards is most appropriate and international, and it is good level. It is at a good level in terms of the international perspectives. It is, we understand. So we have to develop the more attractive and more efficient, more effective standards and evaluation procedures. It is, I think, it is base of the competitions among the agencies.
Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu.
One last question, Dr. Anamika. Dr. Anamika, you have been unmuted. You can ask a question.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Samuel, sir. Dr. Akinori, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I was completely unfamiliar with the quality assurance system placed in Japan. I was wondering how you have mentioned in your presentation that you're working with Thailand and also Taiwan. How does this regional framework of quality assurance work? I was wondering whether Taiwanese universities, for example, National Chengchi University, can approach Japanese JUAA and get accreditation, or how does it working? What is the mechanism? So can you explain that a bit? And another small question is international ranking systems like QS World Ranking, Times Higher Education, and Chiao Tung Shanghai University rankings. How these international ranking systems have affected or are affecting Japanese or JUAA accreditation system? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for questions, Dr. Anamika. So first questions, which is on our framework, IJAS framework between TWAEA and UNESCO in Thailand. So simply, the answer is simple. This framework is an additional or optional framework. With as was the accreditations to be accredited, or it is the it is another framework from the accreditation, which is mandated in the national law or each region's rules or policy. So our framework does not affect any legal status of each universities or college in both countries, in each countries. We are framework is only additional or optional one. So in terms of the evaluation process, we are organizing the evaluation committee, which is consist of the members from each countries, and the visiting team, evaluating team is also consisted from the 3 different countries. So due to pandemic last year, we could not do this operation, but in the future, when the pandemic will cease it, and it allows me to do again, we will do a visiting in on-site visiting and do a regular evaluation process. So next question is on the ranking, and the answer is I think is very, very simple. The ranking does not affect our does not affect our evaluation process. We do not consider the ranking, at which level the university is ranked or not. We do not consider the ranking. Thank you.
Yeah, due to paucity of time, we may not be able to take up more questions, and there are a number of questions and appreciations coming down for the guest speaker. I'll request Dr. Vishnu Mahesh to take the program ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Akinori sir, for the wonderful question and answer session, and also you nicely explained about the and enhancing quality in Japan University of Accreditation of Association, and also quality assurance scheme in Japan. Thank you very much, sir, for your enlighten about the today's topic. Now I request Dr. D.K. Kamble, Assistant Advisor NAAC, to propose the formal vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, one and all. Respected Director, sir, today's speaker, participants, senior advisors, and my dear colleagues. On this occasion, it gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks of today's webinar on assuring and enhancing quality JUAA quality assurance scheme in Japan. First of all, I am very much thankful to our beloved Honorable Director, sir, Professor S.C. Sharma, for his valuable support and encouragement to conduct this webinar. On behalf of our NAAC family, I am very much thankful to today's speaker, Dr. Akinori sir, Associate Director, Research and Planning Division, JUAA. He has given excellent presentation about assuring and enhancing quality education in Japan. So, on behalf of NAAC family, it is my great pleasure to convey my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who attended this international webinar. I am very much thankful to Dr. Amiya Kumar Rath sir, advisor, given welcome and introduction speech, and Dr. A.V. Prasad, Assistant Advisor, given introductory speech of today's speaker, and Dr. K.R. Vishnu Mahesh, who coordinated this entire process of this today's international webinar. My sincere thanks goes to all the advisors, official staff, and NAAC ICT team for their motivation and support to make this function, make this grand success of today's international webinar. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the formal vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you, Akinori sir, on behalf of NAAC. So, in the future also, we may in projects, or after the situation, we can also visit your institution, and also you can also come to our India to visit our organization. Mutually, we can benefit it both by exchanging our assessment accreditation methodologies. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all. Now we are closing the session. Thank you very much for your all cooperation.
Thank you very much. Dhanibad.